Hey, I'm Pat. Welcome to Daily Devo. Today we're going to talk about the theology of work. Do you realize that you will spend most of your life working? Think about it. Even when you aren't at work earning a paycheck, you're often at home making meals, fixing things, upgrading things, or if you're like me, destroying things that you're actually trying to fix. The fact is that if you are given 5 or 6, 7, or for some of you 8 to 10 decades of life on this rock that we call a planet, most of them will be spent working. Now, I understand that to most of you that sounds terribly depressing, but I want to suggest that's because we don't have a good theology of work. The word theology simply means a system of beliefs. So if we were to build a theology or a system of beliefs from the Bible about work, here's 4 things we would find. Number 1, work is not a result of the fall. In the Bible, or in the first chapters of the Bible, God gifted, yes, I use that word gifted. God gifted humans with work. He told them, I created all of this and made you as the pinnacle of my creation. Now go work it and be my sub-creators. Hold on to that word, sub-creators. We're going to come back to that. See, we're gifted with work. Number 2, while work is not a result of the fall, it is made more difficult because of the fall or because of sin. Number 3, there is no higher calling for those who choose to do professional church work or faith-based work. Oh, this is one of my big pet peeves with how work is often presented in the church world. As if those of us who work in churches or faith-based organizations have some kind of higher, more spiritual calling. No. The higher calling that you and I have is to follow Jesus in and through whatever we do for work. Number 4, work is not just something we do to make a living. Work is one of the best ways we have to glorify God. In Colossians 3:23, Paul wrote, work willingly at whatever you do as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. Paul is telling you and I that whatever we do, whether that be building a fence or creating an Excel spreadsheet or digging a hole or solving a problem or doing laundry or giving a speech, whatever you do, do it for God, not for other people. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31, Paul will say something similar. He writes, so whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. I recall a time a guy came up to me after I had finished preaching a sermon, and he was introducing himself, and I asked him, so what do you do? He responded with, I'm just a welder. And I interrupted him. I said, no, in God's eyes, you're not just a welder. You are created in the image of God and are therefore a creator and innovator yourself. When you make a good weld, I don't know what that's called. He told me, but I don't remember. When you make a good weld, you just created something. You just solved a problem. You just acted like your creator. When you make a good weld and you stand back and you think, yeah, that's good, Jesus is standing back with you, smiling and agreeing with you. I remember when I was starting to get a glimpse of biblical theology of work. I was in my early 20s. I lived in Montana. We had a big lawn. And I remember after I finished mowing it with nice straight lines, I stood there smiling with Jesus, knowing I just made something beautiful. My work wasn't a waste. It wasn't only a necessity. It wasn't something I was doing only for survival. No, my work was an act of worship. Mowing the lawn was an act of worship. Yes, you heard me correctly. Mowing the lawn was an act of worship. Oh, my friend, if you would get this beautiful truth, when you create a spreadsheet or balance the books or run a meeting or fix that car or fly that plane, it's not just to earn a paycheck. It's an act of worship. You are acting as God's sub-creator. And that's an awesome call. One of the habits and routines that we will spend most of our life doing is work. And if only we would recognize that we aren't here to work to live, but because we're God's sub-creators, we live to work. Do you get it? We aren't here to work to live, but to live to work. That is part of our worship to Him as our Creator.